to my new video and thanks for joining me. I'm actually filming this from our new apartment in Amsterdam, which means we made it safely, which is great. I'm actually going to take you back to the day that we left Sydney and also talk a little bit more about our flight experience as well. I wanted to go through some quick details about the circumstances that we were facing at the time when we left Australia. For those who don't know, in Australia, in order to leave the country, you actually need to apply for a government exemption. And what that means is the government has to assess your reasons for leaving the country and then decide whether they should give you permission to leave the country or not. In our particular case, it was quite straightforward. It's like an online portal where you have to upload all the required documents to prove why you should be able to travel overseas. We provided our work contract, our apartment contract. We were lucky to secure an apartment before we left. We sent through our marriage certificate, what else? Our visa approval forms, basically any kind of documentation that can prove that you have your life set up here, and also to provide some assurance to the government that you're not planning to go back to Australia anytime soon. We were advised by the government that it was best to not apply for the exemption too far in advance from the scheduled departure date. So in our case, we applied for it about 2 weeks before our scheduled departure date, which sounds really crazy. In a normal world, obviously, you wouldn't leave things till 2 weeks before you were leaving, but obviously these are unusual times at the moment. Luckily, our exemption was approved quite quickly. It was approved overnight, but obviously I was quite paranoid. I really did feel up until the moment that we stepped on the plane that our trip could be cancelled at any time, that they wouldn't approve our exemptions. Thankfully, that's not the case, and we made it. We got our exemptions, we got our flight tickets, and we were able to board the plane as we planned. We were extremely lucky to fly business class with Etihad Airways the whole way through. So this was actually part of my husband's relocation package. It's something we would have never been able to afford ourselves, so we were both really grateful. From a health perspective, being in business class means that you've just got an added bit of space between yourself and other passengers. And I acknowledge the privilege and that not everyone at the moment is able to fly business class. I'm going to leave it here now. I'll talk a little bit more about our flight experience at the end of the video, but for now I'm going to take you back to the day that we were leaving, and also share some footage. I'll see you at the end of the video.
You got
So we just went through the security check and now we're walking towards our gate. It is so empty here. It's just so weird. It's like a brand new shopping center that isn't open to the public or something. There's literally nobody else. I'll show you the shops. Okay. So all the shops are closed, which is to be expected. It's Saturday. Anyway, so yeah, saying bye to my family was really emotional. I didn't think I would cry, but it was just so you know, it just kind of hit me suddenly that we were going and that I wouldn't see them for quite some time. That was quite a reality check. Now I think we've just got some downtime. We're just going to sit down at our gate and entertain each other. Hello again. I'll talk a little bit more about our flight experience with Etihad. We've actually never flown business class before, so the whole experience was quite novel to me, but also it was extra novel because we were flying during the COVID-19 pandemic. So obviously the experience that we had was completely different, I guess, to the experience that we would have had if we weren't flying during the COVID-19 pandemic. All the staff were very, very hospitable, extremely friendly. We felt very well cared for throughout the entire flight. All the airline staff were completely dressed head to toe in protective gear. So they were wearing, you know, masks, visors, gloves, hazmat suits, everything that you can think of, goggles as well. And actually for me, it was comforting to see that they were taking things so seriously. Also on our flight, they put spaces between all the seats. I think that was not only the case for business class, but also for economy class. Before we left Australia, I was going online, I was doing some research to see what people's flight experiences were like. And I actually saw that for some airlines, they weren't putting spaces between the seats. So clearly that was a decision that Etihad Airways had made for the safety of the passengers. And that really meant that the flight was probably only flying at half capacity at best. We were required to leave our mask on for the entire duration of the flight, except for when we were eating and drinking. We did try our best to do that, even when we were sleeping, which I highly do not want to do again because it's such an uncomfortable experience. But you know, nevertheless, we both tried to leave our face masks on the entire time. Our first flight was from Sydney to Abu Dhabi, and then we flew from Abu Dhabi to Amsterdam. When we arrived in Abu Dhabi, we were actually very lucky to still be able to access the business lounge, but for obvious reasons, the normal facilities such as the showers and the massage lounge, they were all closed. I believe there's usually like a buffet or something like that, but that was obviously not available at the time. However, we were still able to sit down. There was still drink service, and there was also still like a limited food menu that we could order from as well. In the Netherlands, certain countries are exempt from quarantining. That includes Australia because our cases are so low. And even though we transited through Abu Dhabi, it was confirmed that we were considered to be quite low risk simply because we were only at Abu Dhabi airport for 1 or 2 hours before we boarded the next flight. So we were treated as if we had taken a direct flight from Australia to the Netherlands. Having said that, quarantine is not mandatory in the Netherlands. It's only strongly advised. So even if we had come from, say, like the US or Brazil or the UK, definitely, from a moral perspective, absolutely you should be quarantining, but no one is going to be escorting you to your house and checking up on you to make sure that you're actually following the rules. When we arrived in the Netherlands, we were asked to fill out this health check document, which basically asks you if you've experienced any COVID symptoms. However, when we got to the Netherlands, no one asked us for the health check form. No one asked us whether we were feeling ill or whether we had any COVID-19 symptoms. No one asked us to show the test results either. We basically asked how long we were going to stay in the Netherlands. We said indefinitely, and then that was it. They just let us in. That was quite an interesting experience too, because for international travelers who are entering Australia, they're literally escorted by defense personnel and police to get on a bus, and then they're escorted from their bus to the hotel in which they have to complete their 14-day quarantine. I'm not saying that's wrong or right, it's just completely different to the environment in Australia and the approach that the Australian government is taking. I think I'm going to leave the video here. Flying during the COVID pandemic was quite a strange and out of this world experience. So I hope if you are in a similar situation, you found this video informative, and please feel free to ask me any questions in the comments section below. I'm happy to answer them. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and also don't forget to subscribe as well if you want to see more videos about what our relocation experience is like, what expat life is like in Amsterdam, and also what expat life is like during the pandemic. All right, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.